I don't know. I just do not know. A lot of the things. First of all, this weekend in the English Premier League, there's been a lot of drama with VAR. I have a feeling that tomorrow's game, Chelsea against Tottenham Hotspur, which is our subject of conversation today, how Chelsea are going to bring down Tottenham Hotspur, the threat of Tottenham Hotspur, how Chelsea matches up exactly against Tottenham Hotspur, how difficult the game is going to be in itself. That's why we are here today. But I'm thinking about it. VAR and all of the technology around football, yet we still get some of these bizarre calls from referees. Then essentially it is the one against Newcastle versus Arsenal. It was bizarre, because you can't tell me that was a goal. There are lots of reasons why that goal shouldn't have stood. I know some Arsenal fans are unhappy, Newcastle and some other fans say, hey, we don't care, Arsenal lost points. But then really, this thing should not be happening from team to team. It happened to Liverpool the last time against Arsenal. It was something that everybody spoke about and it wasn't the best way to go about things. And then, of course, teams like Manchester City have benefited, Manchester United, Arsenal. It is bizarre, even Arsenal themselves. But I think that it's time where things are streamlined. I mean, technology is not a problem. It's the human beings that handle the technology. That's the issue. Guys, welcome to Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. It is another splendid edition. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. This is YouTube Fiifi-Manfred. Thank you for choosing me. And see, you would want to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on the notification button. Do choose all. And make sure that you're always in line for all the footballing conversation, all the analysis. This time, it is the biggest tactical analysis in the London derby. Chelsea versus Arsenal. Stick and stay. So, first of all, Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur are in different spheres of their, in terms of growth, in terms of squad building and whatnot. Ange Postecoglou has done a brilliant job. I think that the greatest achievement of Ange Postecoglou has been the fact that he has been able to get his players to imbibe his methods for a very, very short time. He has been there for a very short time and he has gotten the boys playing exactly how he wants them to play. Pressing high, counter-pressing, playing out from the back. And of course, in Mauricio Pochettino's autobiography, he did mention that in his first few days at Tottenham Hotspur, it was tough. And one time when he went down by a goal to 0, he turned to his backroom staff, Jesus, and then he told them that, you know what, let's pack our bags tomorrow, we are going to be sacked. He is one of the first managers that came to the English Premier League and played with high intensity. He started it with Espanyol. He plays in the English Premier League. High intensity, high counter-pressing, high pressing, pushing up the field of play, getting the job done. It was something that Mauricio Pochettino did and did very well, even at his days at Southampton. And when you look at the progress with Chelsea, you can see that all of those things are there now. It's just time. He's at Chelsea now, a fairly younger team compared to that of Tottenham Hotspur, and he's getting the job done. Ange Postecoglou is getting the job done better because they are unbeaten as stands now in the English Premier League. And who there goes against Ange Postecoglou and his Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? It's a difficult game. How are they going to get this job done? How are Chelsea going to play against Tottenham Hotspur? And that's exactly why we are here. First of all, I think that this is the kind of game that is best suited for Chelsea's team. And I've said this consistently, that if you look at how Chelsea played this season, they love spaces. If you give them space, they can hurt you. There is space, there is 1v1 threats, out wide, central areas, overloads, and what's not. These are principles of play that are easy to come by with the Chelsea team. From the depth in quality that they have with these young players, and then the fact that they have a structure and a system that's able to deal with the space that you leave. It's something that Chelsea are possibly almost consistently going to be able to thrive in. You go back and watch the game against Brentford. You watch the game against Fulham. You watch the game against Arsenal. You watch all of these games and you understand that when it comes to space, when you give Chelsea space, they are going to hurt you. They have what it takes to hurt you. So you'd want to be very careful. Now, Tottenham Hotspur, on the other hand, don't care if you give them space or not. They're able to break down low blocks. Maybe because there's too much experience. There's a lot of experience. Dejan Kolasowski, Son, James Maddison, all of these guys manipulate the spaces better and they have ounces of experience. And of course, they can get a job done in a game like this. Now, for Chelsea, they have to be much more manageable. They have to be much more thoughtful in dealing with especially low blocks and then deep lining teams that sit very deep in the game. So that's what makes Chelsea's project a little bit far apart in terms of what you want to get from the team and where they are now. Now they are going to a Tottenham Hotspur team, and I asked myself, what are the things that can make Chelsea win or not win the game? What things will make or make the game? Where would a game be won or lost for Chelsea Football Club? And first of all, Tottenham Hotspur have a wonderful backline. I still think that Tottenham necessarily are not going to be in top 4 or win the league, but they'll do very well. The backline of Christian Romero, Edogie, Pedro Porro, and then Vicario is brilliant. Brilliant. Now you go into their midfield and Papi Matassa, a player that I personally scouted a couple of years ago, watched him for Senegal in their junior teams, and I remember telling my colleague Neil Adams that this is a brilliant player. Himself, Yves Bissouma in the middle of the park. Remember Yves Bissouma, Brighton and Hove Albion under Graham Potter? That's the kind of Yves Bissouma that you see now. He wasn't the kind of guy when he came to the first term under Antonio Conte, because Antonio Conte wanted much more physicality, much more combativeness in the middle of the park. He didn't get that from Yves. Yves is more technical on the ball, same as Papi Matassa. And mind you, they have managed to get that balance between physicality, aggression, and athleticism, in addition to the technical parts of the game that you will need in games like this. So that is it for Tottenham Hotspur's midfield. Now you go up top, you get James Maddison, Son running off James Maddison, and then you get your wingers in there. Sometimes Charleston plays from outside, sometimes he plays centrally, and then of course you get either Dejan Kulusevski and the likes also from wide areas. And there's a lot of mobility actually. That's how they break down things. A lot of mobility. Mind you, if you put Son in behind, in an XG of 0.002 or something, Son is possibly going to convert because he is a depth attacker. He is a killer in a box. He can get a job done against you. James Maddison has found a brilliant form for Tottenham Hotspur as it stands now, and it's easy for him to get a job done. So you look at all of these metrics, you look at all of these parts of the game, and you ask yourself, how are Chelsea going to stand it? Now, Chelsea are possibly going to go into this game in a 4-2-3-1 as well. I reckon that Reece James is going to come back into the team. He gives the team much more balance. That doesn't mean that Malo Gusto isn't good enough. Malo is equally brilliant. Just that Reece is the captain. Reece knows how to play some of this game. He will push the boys on. He can rally them on to get a job done. I think that the back four in this game should be devoid of Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva should not play in this back four. It should be Benoit Badiashile and then Levi Cole. So you have Levi Cole going to play at left back, and you have Benoit Badiashile. Levi Cole at left back, you have Benoit Badiashile and Axel Disasi. Or Benoit Badiashile and then Thiago Silva, whilst Axel Disasi is on the bench. But I'm talking about height, so I want Benoit Badiashile to be in there. Then, of course, I get Enzo Fernandez and Moise Caicedo in the double six. Once I get Enzo Fernandez, Moise Caicedo in the double six, and right in front of them, of course, Conor Gallagher is going to lead the job in terms of the press. Because you see, you play against Tottenham Hotspur and you don't suffocate them, you're in trouble. One of the only ways to play against teams like Tottenham Hotspur now, especially when they are not at peak levels, yes, they are top side, but they are not at peak level, is you want to consistently be in their faces from the blast of the whistle. You would want to be in their faces. And the game is going to be emotional. Highly emotional. Pochettino is returning to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chelsea are playing in a London derby with Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea have consistently seen Tottenham Hotspur beneath them. This time, Tottenham are performing brilliantly than Chelsea. So how do you get these things done? How do you find the balance between the two? How do you talk about some of these things? Mauricio Pochettino has said consistently that for him, he can't promise that he can be able to keep his emotions in check because it's a game that's dear to his heart. In games like this, you would wish that both teams go away happy. But no, it's a game that Chelsea has to win. In a game against Arsenal, you need to win. You need to win. You just can't allow things to just go the way they are going. You need to push up and get a job done and make sure you're winning these games. So when you have Conor Gallagher to lead the press has to be insane. I've said consistently that press structure of Cole Palmer and Conor Gallagher leading it is brilliant. It's one of the best. Because Cole Palmer essentially uses his body orientation and his cognitive strength every time to block passing lanes. And when he's able to block passing lanes, he wins the ball forward. It is that part where he has to transition into an attacking mode and probably score goals from them that's left. But to those limbs that he has, decoying as if he's off the passing lane and then stretching up to win those balls, it's brilliant. And Conor Gallagher is also seen in terms of the energy levels, pushing up, pressing, counter pressing, being in the faces of the opponent and making sure they win. And that's exactly how the game has to be played in a 4-2-3-1. But essentially, the midfield has to be a boxing midfield like against Arsenal. So even if Nicolas Jackson is starting, even if Cole Palmer is starting at number 9, that midfield has to come. They have to drop in the middle of the cup because Tottenham are going to press. And you see, now Chelsea's build-up is good. Not the best, but it's good. I'm imagining Chelsea having Romeo Lavia as part of this build-up. He is arguably one of the best and most press-resistant midfielders in the world. I'm not exaggerating. Press-resistant midfielders in the world. Romeo Lavia is one of them. If you have him next to Enzo Fernandez and Moise Caicedo, then you are there in a 4-3-3. Caicedo, Enzo become 2 attacking number 8s. You are there. You have everything that you want to get. Then you can play Cole Palmer essentially. Then have 2 wingers flanking them. They are getting the job done. But now, he is not there. Enzo, Caicedo have been good also in terms of progression of the ball. Caicedo makes sure he doubles onto the right-hand side to make a lot of overloads and form all of those triangles in those areas. And you need it against Tottenham Hotspur. Essentially also, the pace and the tricky of the 2 fullbacks from Tottenham Hotspur in Edogie and in Pedro will be very, very important. They essentially do not come inverted. They just hug the touchline. And when they do, these affords their wingers to become narrow. So Dejan Kulusevski, if he's playing, comes inside narrow, then they occupy the half spaces. Now, what this will mean for Chelsea's defense, however, is that now they have to be much more proactive in nicking those balls in the back, stepping out of the block and then nicking those balls in. Then quickly, they have to transit, losing the wingers here with those diagonal balls. That's why it's going to be important for either of Axel Disasi's line diagonal passes or Levi Cole's line breaking passes on the ground. It's very, very, very important in that regard. So I look at this game, I'm looking at the various parts where the game will be won and lost, and I'm looking at these things. Pedro Porro's moving, Chelsea's box midfield to overload central areas, Chelsea's ability to make sure that he plucks out all of those pieces that Tottenham Hotspur would want, making sure that the build-up is excellent because there's going to be constant press in central areas against Chelsea, and then the wide areas, how Chelsea are going to manage those areas in that regard. Then in the conversation of height and physicality from centre-back and midfield also, because the game is going to be combative. Now, Chelsea's midfielders are as technical as Tottenham's midfielders, just that Chelsea are much more combative than them. Now, the crowd at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is going to make it even much more difficult for Chelsea. But it's a game that they should be able to get it done. So yeah, guys, this is all time will allow us on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please do. I'm grateful, although, to everybody else subscribe. My name is Fiifi.